public works have been done. So now we can do Nordoostpolder or Mast Tunnel. Let's do the Mast Tunnel first. Gives us some more infrastructure in Holland and Brabant, which is where I'm more likely to start building industry earlier. Our great rivers are phenomenal obstacles, but by digging tunnels under them we can drastically improve our infrastructure. The Mast Tunnel will be the first of these, greatly improving accessibility to the city of Rotterdam to the south. And we do have an additional factory where we could actually build some interwar fighters just to continue the training. No, I'm going to build more artillery because I do want artillery to feature more heavily in my stacks. Yugoslavia recognizes the Soviet Union. Yugoslavia, even more stoically than other nations, has for years refused to recognize the communist state that is the Soviet Union. With today's announcement that the government of Yugoslavia will henceforth establish official relations with the Soviets, this policy has at last come to an end. Whether this means the opening of the Yugoslav Yugoslav state to communist influence remains to be seen, but the tone of the announcement was surprisingly cordial. Japan has an emperor, a new one too, as the old one recently abdicated. That is true. Japan is still an empire, but it's a figurehead thing. I mean, it's the same with Britain. It's more of a figurehead thing. And I don't think the Queen is the Emperor of India anymore. Construction 1, done. And we have the 100% bonus, so I think I'm going to go ahead and start on construction 2, just so we can really start pumping out some stuff. Denmark still has a queen, I think. Yeah, it does. I was going to say Denmark's the longest reigning monarchy, but that's not true. It might be the longest reigning dynasty. I know Denmark's flag is the oldest in the world. I have a feeling Denmark's dynasty is the longest reigning. Because I think the oldest monarchy is something like Thailand. Every Dane I've ever spoken to loves the Queen. What are we doing? What's the plan? How are things? We are playing as the Dutch. We are going to stay with the Allies and we're going to beat up the Japanese. Probably. Actually, I'm kind of curious what the US is doing because we set the US to random. Intervention in the Americas. They've just gone straight up like, right, we're going to war with Mexico. Right, well, I guess Trump's in charge. Pretty sure Japan's dynasty is the oldest and longest reigning. But Japan's dynasty has changed a few times, hasn't it? No, it's the shoguns that changed, it wasn't the emperor. Not sure. You could be right, I'm not sure. How's the Navy doing? Training quite nicely. So we do have quite a few old submarines, which we're probably going to want to try to upgrade. The surface fleet is going to be more difficult to do. If we're even able to refit the subs, actually, bearing in mind the problems we were having with the West Indies Federation. Mast Tunnel is done. Let's get the Nordoostpolder. After closing off the Zuiderzee by building the Afsluitdijk, and thereby creating the artificial IJsselmeer lake, we must now finish the land reclamation project to the Nordoostpolder. This will give us better infrastructure and more room for industrial and agricultural expansion. Do I think China communist? Are they some kind of weird style of capitalist? That's a deep question. State capitalist. I would say that China is the very definition of state capitalist at the moment. Whoa. If you take, like, Victoria 2 terms. The games of the 11th Olympiad, the 11th Olympic Games, have recently been held in Berlin, Germany. Attended by athletes from 49 different nations around the world, the 1936 Summer Olympics are the first in history to have enjoyed limited live television coverage. The games were a significant propaganda victory for the German regime, which spent lavishly on the event. Hey, Dutchy Gamer. Jesuit, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Ah, you're still getting some guns and things, which is why you're not fully trained. That's fine. And we have some factories, or rather a factory, which I think we're going to put to just making guns. Oh, we are really going to have to go down to Phillips as quickly as possible. Possibly even before changing our government. Like, yeah, I think we are going to need to do this. Although we have almost finished the infrastructure here. We could start working on infrastructure elsewhere. Let's increase our oil production. Aluminium, I don't think we'll necessarily need right away. And then we could also start improving a bit of the infrastructure over here. I just need to be aware that we are kind of up against a ticking clock here. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. We can't change our economy law because he makes it twice as expensive. We could get the captain of industry, however. I think that's a good idea. Yeah. World tensions are still pretty low. This is definitely no Prussian Prince game. What's my plan for this run? To join the Allies and beat up the Japanese. Probably. I mean, some of the countries in the world are set to random, like the USA, while the Nationalists are kicking the living daylights out of the Republicans. I don't think I've ever seen this quite so efficient. I think it was getting this cut off so early that's really made the difference. Like, these two areas are holding out magnificently, especially in the north. Like, this is a very tough nut to crack. Oh, I really do wish I had the Dutch in that multiplayer game now. Ah. Has the great unslating with Belgium happened yet? No. And probably won't. I'm staying allied in this game. Won't building up the Netherlands not just give Germany more factories? Yes, but I'm doing this from the perspective that we don't know what's coming. We're going to try and stay neutral. Unfortunately, if I try too hard, we probably will just stay neutral. Do I want to start? Yes, I want to get down to here at the very least. So we're going to start working on you, and... Now, fighters or heavy fighters? Here's a good question. Because initially, fighters are going to be better, definitely. But I have a feeling as the game goes on, heavy fighters are going to become the more important. I'm going to do heavy fighters. Yeah, heavy fighters have better range, which is why they'll be more useful for us in the colonies too, should the war go over there. Alright, Nordostpolder is done. Let's get the artillery Inrichtingen. The artillery Inrichtingen manufactures munitions and a number of small arms, under license, for our forces. Should be expanded if we aim to increase our military. Like my shirt. Thank you! I like my shirt too. Don't actually remember which World Cup this was from. 2006. I'm pretty sure I do have a more modern one, but I don't know where it is. We have no clue what our friendly neighbours who fought in the World War will do, especially now they're led by a moustached madman. But we were neutral in the First World War, and if anything the Allies treated the Dutch worse because they blockaded them. The Germans just wanted to trade, and that's just good business. And also the Kaiser fled to the Netherlands after the First World War. In fact, he might still be in the Netherlands at this point. I think he is. We were going to do trade interdiction. For you, Spain should end the civil war fast or slow. Well, obviously it's in their best interest to do it quickly. Naval bombers we will be doing eventually. It's going to be heavy fighters and naval bombers. Mao thought he could bypass the capitalist stage of production and go directly to socialism. After the failures of the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, the reputation of the left radicals was damaged and Deng's reformists moved in after Mao's death. It's a lot more complicated in details, but that's the basic gist. Why would the Germans attack the Netherlands? The Dutch aren't in the way in the path through Belgium to France. Exactly! And we're one of their few sources of resources. I might just let this happen. And then pick whichever side wins. Because you can, like, manipulate this. It's expensive, but you can. The United Kingdom dominates Dutch trade negotiations. The British have expanded their influence over us to the point where we're forced to favour them in the current negotiations. 10-5. Now, what's required for Gateway to Europe? That just makes it possible to cave. Germany needs to have at least 25 points and 15 more than the other side. Or we could maintain trade neutrality, which would be the only man in the Dutch government path. Ranja boven. I guess historically this is the one that happened. Actually, can you... Oh, you could actually do Oranje Boven and then go with Britain. Which is the historical? I'm always kind of wondering about this. It is unity through democracy, isn't it? Yeah, only man in the Dutch government requires both of these, so you can only go down the symbol of resistance with Oranje Boven. And that makes us unaligned as opposed to democratic. Recruitable population. Change the politician, gain a bunch of political power, war support and stability. In a faction with the UK, all fighting on the same side as the UK. With Belgium and Luxembourg, and that would cause us all to become a unified Netherlands. And then that would be building up Belgium. I mean, we could try for that. And if you do Oranje Boven, you cannot join the Germans. In fact, it doesn't actually look like this is mutually exclusive with anything. It just means that we can't do minor democracies. It's the other way around. There are no Germans or Belgians, just Eastern Dutch and Southern Dutch. Oh, Shadowhawk. Ouch. Excuse me, the Dutch are clearly from the country next to Sweden. Well, actually, My grandmother, my American grandmother, was convinced that my mum, who's Dutch, was from Denmark. Oh, American education system. Please change. I'm really tempted to do our Anya Bolvin if I can. Because, yeah, it's going to be possible to get all of this then instead of just kind of this half. Screw it, we're going to try it. But we're still going to go with Britain, so we can join the war. Had an English girlfriend once. Huzzah! Her father kept referring to me as the German guy. Much triggering resulted. Nice. Dwaylen! Thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub. I appreciate that. Welcome to the Mordlings. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, artillery Inrichtungen are done. And I did say that I want to try and grab Phillips if I can, and I think we're going to do that. Do I need to have done this stuff before war actually breaks out or anything? Oh, we can't do this if we've done Oranje Bolven. And continue the war in Batavia can only be done if we've actually capitulated in the Netherlands. Are you blocked? Ah. Yeah, we can't do Oranje Bolven. Because I want to fight primarily against Japan, so we actually have the naval wars. So no, we can't go that path. Okay, good to know. Philips has long been a market leader in the radios and other electronics. Perhaps by contracting and funding the Dutch electronics company, we might achieve some breakthroughs of our own in this increasingly important type of military equipment. And we have military factories once more. More artillery. We are so short on resources, crikey. And I'm going to try to add artillery. Why does that cost 10? Oh, that's why. Artillery replaces an infantry. I can't then just remove more artillery, more infantry. That makes a bit more sense. Let's save that and get those upgrading. That should also have freed up some manpower, shouldn't it? Apparently not. I'm going to... Oh no, that doesn't actually make any sense. Let's go and get more support equipment for now. Yeah. We're actually building up Curacao already. So the whole of the Netherlands is fully infrastructured. Nice. The Dutch fighting Japan, lol. They did, historically, and very successfully. The Dutch submarines were a massive thorn in the Japanese side, which is why the Dutch have such a ridiculously good submarine commander. Conrad Helfrich is a freaking legend. He's better than Dönitz at the start of the game. And we can promote something. We can get a material designer. Ah, yes, we can. That is very cheap. No, we're going to save up for Phillips. Phillips is the one that we really want. Because Phillips is a huge jump forwards. When does the new music kick in? That's a good question. Here we go. This is the new radio player, and you can see all the different radio stations. You can actually say default soundtrack, Allied soundtrack, Axis soundtrack, or classics. Let's see what the classics are. I believe today is actually the Swedish National Day, 496 years since Swexit from the Kalmar Union. Build forts? Maybe eventually soon, yes, probably should. We'll start with those. We'll get Curacao to level 5? Yeah. That seems reasonable. We can sell more oil. I'm sure the Germans will be grateful for that infrastructure. Hey, we do what we can. And I already said, not playing with the benefit of hindsight. I think that the Germans just want to trade with us. Any goals for the stream to fight Japan? I really hope this music isn't copyrighted. It shouldn't be. Most of the music's in-house, but if these are like from older Hearts of Irons, I don't know if that's still true. Okay, we're going to expand the R&D facilities, and then we're going to start working on the government stuff, I think. Or we could start on the colonial stuff. See, this one does require all of these. So yes, I think we're going to need to do that. So let's expand R&D, sort out the government, at least get to Gateway to Europe so that these can start fighting against each other. And then we'll start working on the obtained foreign colonial investments. Our industrial expansion and other recent advances might allow us to conduct more R&D in parallel, especially if we expand upon Philips's already existing facilities. Let's get Philips. That plus 15% electronics research speed is actually really useful. We're actually not going to be far off of getting the infantry equipment designer either. When will I go commie Dutch? Probably not anytime soon. The one I'd really like to see having a good communist tree is France. Because that could have happened historically. Okay, so we have heavy fighters. We can actually start producing those now, which is lovely. We do have the cruisers. We don't have sonar. We're gonna need sonar. Also need to do a couple more defensive techs, I think. I guess the nation building in your dominions is in case somebody else is trying to ideology boost them. So a bit of your firepower. Let's get the next one. Because like I said, I want to get down to mobile defense, then we can stop and switch to something else. That just gives us as good an opportunity to defend as possible. At least they won't be called Dutchland, though. This is true. Probably do need to set a couple more of these for repairs. Oh yeah, blimey. Look at that. How are we actually doing for civilian factories? We have 12 of them active at the moment. We have a surprising amount of civilian factory potential. There we go. And then you have your own defensive line right there. Perfect. Oh right, last time I managed to get some bicycle divisions out. I'd forgotten about that. 1937, we still have like 2 years, so we might still be able to. Oh, that's a good point. I should probably see where the Sabaton radio station is. I suspect the Sabaton would be a separate one. Because that one's definitely copyright, I can't play that. Should it be a coastal fort in the north with the strait crossing? I think strait crossings are still guarded by regular forts. I think coastal forts is just amphibious assaults. That's a good question, though. Why for strait crossing fort or coastal fort? What defences do you build against invasions across straits? Wow, hot to find farms are toxic. Ugh. This guy's just trying to ask a simple question. Everyone's going, yeah, Denmark couldn't beat Germany. That's not what he asked, though. What kind of forts would you build? Coastal forts were in Hearts of Iron 3. That's interesting. I did not know that. Like, nobody has actually answered the question. Oh, somebody else asked. Let's see if Reddit's any better than the Paradox forums. Land forts have no effect on strait crossing defences. Naval forts are the only way to reduce an attacker's attack when they're crossing a strait up to 150%.